First question is in the name of Deputy Catherine Connolly.
It's a basic question and very straightforward. I'm asking the Minister for the status of the new West Regional Enterprise Plan to 2024.
Connolly, for the question. The regional enterprise development and sustainable local job creation is a key policy priority of ours in our department and this government. My department is currently overseeing the development of 9 new regional enterprise plans to 2024, including for the West region, covering your own county that you represent. These are bottom-up plans developed by regional stakeholders who are working together to identify growth opportunities, recognise vulnerabilities and to address ecosystem gaps to enable sustainable job creation in businesses across the regions through collaborative regional actions. The new West Regional Enterprise Plan to 2024, which covers Galway, Mayo and Roscommon, will complement and will build on the core activities of the IDA, Enterprise Ireland and our LEOs and the greater involvement of the local authorities as well as our educational stakeholders and institutions. Across a wide range of state bodies involved in enterprise development in the region, with a focus on creating sustainable employment opportunities. Minister Robert Try is driving the delivery of the new plan in the West and has been engaging directly with the West Regional Steering Committee, made up of regional stakeholders, including representatives from the IDA Ireland, Enterprise Ireland, LEOs, local authorities, the Regional Skills Fora, the Western Development Commission and others. This group is chaired by Evelyn O'Toole, founder and CEO of Complete Laboratory Solutions. The regional stakeholders in the West region are currently finalising their work and expect to sign off on the draft plan in early November, so this month all going well. Once this is done, it is intended to publish and launch the West Regional Enterprise Plan, along with all the other new plans before the end of this year. To assist the regional enterprise plans, my department, through Enterprise Ireland, has made available to date over 126 million in regional enterprise funding to aid locally led regional enterprise development projects. Of this, over 18.8 million has been approved for 9 regional enterprise projects for the West under the Regional Enterprise Development Fund and more recently the Regional Enterprise Transition Scheme. We did discuss this on the previous pre-Qs with yourself as well, and I know you are a believer in these strategies as well. Finally, I am pleased to see positive news on the jobs front for the West, with recent announcements this year, even though it's a difficult year, by the IDA, with over 400 jobs in Galway and 30 jobs in Ballina.
Thank you, Minister, and I appreciate your answer. And I know that the idea are very important in Enterprise Ireland, but I see your answer and it's bottoms up. It doesn't seem to me that it's bottoms up. Now, I welcome that the plan is going to be published very soon and it will be published before Christmas. But I'm thinking, for example, of wool, and it's taken donkey's years to get a feasibility study for wool, with huge possibilities. I'm looking at seaweed, and we still have no national policy on seaweed, one of the fantastic possibility areas for the west of Ireland. I'm looking at islands, and we have no policy. So I'm wondering how this fits in. Now, this is the first plan since a pandemic was declared, and it's certainly the first plan and the first opportunity since a climate emergency was declared and a biodiversity. And the only thing I see when I look through the various literature that talk about eco-gaps, which I would welcome if they were talking about the gaps in the ecosystem, but they're actually talking about business in a strange way, because we have to do things differently, isn't that right? We've all agreed. So I'm wondering, will this plan be different? Has it taken cognizance of the 2 emergencies that I've mentioned, plus the pandemic?
Deputy, I presume and I hope you made a submission to the plan, because I mean you made some good ideas there, and the regional plan is meant to reflect all the local ideas, because it genuinely is bottom up. I don't chair this one. I chair 4 other ones, and the Taoiseach chairs the Dublin one, and Robert Try chairs 4 as well. And in all cases, I've directly, and the ones I've chaired, and Robert Try has taken the same approach as is the Taoiseach, we've reached out for public consultation with all the stakeholders, local authorities, Chamber of Commerce, anybody in business, the education system, existing companies who have ideas, and very much so, this is meant to fund local ideas, local initiatives. I totally and utterly agree with you with the opportunity with seaweed, but also there has to be a very straightforward conversation to make that happen and involve the stakeholders with a long tradition of harvesting the seaweed in a very sustainable way as well. So I totally agree with you. Opportunity, and again, it was finding the right home for a seaweed strategy. A lot of work has been carried out now with the work and research with the Marine 2040 plan, which I know you were involved in. I went to some meetings on that as well. That strategy is in place there, so it can lead on to the opportunity for seaweed. The committee in relation to wool, I think what's needed there, and they are up and running now, and that took a bit of work to get that agreed. Martin Hayden, Chair, has brought it together. But that, again, what you're trying to do here is find a source and a market and a use for the wool, because I'm from the background myself, and I know years ago wool had a great value, now it doesn't. So it's up to us, working regionally, locally, to find initiatives to make that happen. But I've no doubt you made a submission, and we can look at all the suggestions you have.
still in relation to top down rather than bottom up. If it has taken this long for a government to commission a feasibility studies on wool, therefore there's been too much consensus thinking in relation to the way forward, as opposed to looking at our assets and how do we use them. Now, anyone with a bit of sense would realise that wool has huge value, from insulation to in relation to remediation for bogs, only mentioning two of them. And look at seaweed, and you can go back to the public meetings we shared. We still have no policy on seaweed. So these are two indigenous industries, and there are many, many more. And I don't see an emphasis on sustainable indigenous industries for the west of Ireland, bearing in mind that the last Regional Assembly report said that that area, north and west, suffered unduly from COVID, disproportionately is a better word, under the pandemic than anywhere else. So here we are, and I am actually, Minister, concerned. It's difficult to put in submissions on everything and keep an eye on county development plans and city development plans and speak in the Dáil. But surely there are enough people there under the government to say, well, seaweed is the growth area with the maximum potential for lives in the west of Ireland.
Definitely, again, I want to be absolutely clear. These plans are meant to be bottom up. I've sat around the table at the very first version of these plans that were put in place, and I can assure you, they were all local people around the table with me, that we went through each and every idea. You and I discussed them here at PQs, one of my first set of PQs in this department. This is the first time you've suggested to me about the wool, even though I'm familiar with it from somebody else. Sorry, I'm just saying our conversation. And I've no doubt I'll pass on to Robert Try as well, because that's what these plans are about. And even when the regional plans are published in a few weeks' time, there's enough scope there to add in some more changes as well, because there is a fund put in place. It was confirmed in the National Development Plan, again in the budget just gone a few weeks ago as well, additional money to fund regional ideas, regional projects. I'll reference again the Rural Affairs Department of close to $1 billion over the next 4 years. So there is certainly, in my view, enough resources out there to fund initiatives and ideas that come true. But it does involve the locals as well as the state agencies bringing forward ideas. And this is very much not a regional plan led by the IDA, Enterprise Ireland, SFI, or any of our national agencies. These are meant to be local plans. And I would say your own county has been quite successful over the last two rounds, drawing down quite a lot of money to fund projects. And I wish to see these projects implemented at a faster pace. That's something we're going to do. And the wool is finally up and running, but it's not up to the government to find a market for every product out there. It's up to us to work together, to our agencies, with all those interested bodies. And I'm happy to do that, as is Minister Try and Taoiseach Leo Varadkar here as well. And we will continue to do that as well. I totally agree with you on seaweed. And that's something maybe we can work on together, because I think that will lead an initiative here in this House to bring forward as well.
Deputy Connolly, I believe.